Pennsylvania State Senate held a public hearing on election issues in Gettysburg today. Rudy Giuliani and Jenna Ellis from the Trump team, as well as Pennsylvanian legislators and witnesses, laid out their case in detail.
In the historic city Gettysburg, Pennsylvania officials gathered at the Wyndham Hotel to hold a public hearing regarding legal issues in the state's election. Giuliani spoke first, saying the election is run by no one other than the state legislature. He quoted Article 2, Section 1, Clause 2 of the Constitution, which laid out this designation.
Each state shall appoint in such manner as the legislature thereof may direct a number of electors. It's the state legislature that controls this process. It's your power. It's your responsibility.
Leah Hoops is a Delaware County resident. She was a poll watcher on election night and was at the counting center in Chester, Pennsylvania. Hoops said one of her greatest concerns was the back room of the counting center, which had no observers and no line of sight. She said there was no cooperation between poll watchers and poll workers and even felt resistance from the workers.
Transpiring. Even with an injunction, which was a joke, we were granted 5 minutes every 2 hours. And the setup was sitting in a chair 20 feet from any physical ballot.
Colonel Phil Waldron is a psychological operations officer in information and electronic warfare. He said his team has been studying voting machine manipulations since 2018. Waldron said the voting systems used in this election were built to be manipulated and were used in stolen elections around the world in Venezuela, Argentina, Italy, and Singapore. Referring to this year's vote data, he spoke of spike anomalies, which are events where the numerical amount of votes processed in a time period is not feasible or mechanically possible under normal circumstances. This is based off a specified rate of speed at which these machines can process or image ballots.
Yes. And when you look at this entire curve with all these spikes, can you calculate how much of a vote that accounted for Biden and how much for Trump?
Close to 600,000. I think our figures were about 570 some odd thousand that all those spikes represent over time.
For Biden?
Correct.
And how much for Trump?
I think it was a little over 3,200.
Olivia Jane Winters, a minority poll inspector, also gave her testimony.
I'm actually I'm a registered Democrat, and I just wanted to help and make sure it was a fair election. I don't care who wins. I care that it's a fair election.
Winters said she was immediately met with hostility from all of the workers. When someone tried to return a mail-in ballot and vote in person, this required a signature from the judge of elections. But the judge of elections, who was not supposed to leave the building, had gone home for 45 minutes. Winters was confronted by a poll watcher and committee man who told her anyone could sign the affidavit and began to admonish her, saying,
why don't you stop trying to cause problems? Why don't you shut up? Started getting in my face, cursing at me, telling me that I needed to be quiet, that I didn't know what I was talking about, and I should just learn to sit down and not say anything and just let it happen.
Others testified as well, citing anomalies like USB sticks in voting machines. A poll watcher said that more than 2 is unusual, and while officials deny the allegations, 47 are currently missing. Another said that stacks of hundreds of blank mail-in ballots were used to fix ballots that could not be read. Nobody was there to oversee this. Senator Doug Mastriano concluded the public hearing by saying the truth is out there. He said that history was changed in 1863 in Gettysburg, so on this day, history is changing for our country and this state.
Senator Argyle said they have received an enormous amount of information at the hearings, adding there is no doubt in his mind that the House and Senate will pass legislation based on what was heard today.